Maybe it's just me, but somehow I think I see the 1930s repeating itself all over again. We have a situation really rather strange and bizarre in the West, right across Europe and even in America, whereby freedom is slowly being dismantled, people are being partitioned into the other, the people who we can treat in a different way to ordinary people. And there's a direction in which we're going down a road which leads very much in the same direction that Germany seemed to lead to in the 1930s. George Agamben, the Italian philosopher, I just read about this recently, has written about the reduction of life to biopolitics. And he said to simply reduce the theory, he says that the man who is accursed, in this case, read infected, or better still, the unvaccinated in this COVID age, can be set apart from normal society and must live what he calls a bare life. Life reduced to the barest form, and in the state of exception, normal laws and morals are just forgotten about. And you might think I'm being a bit extreme there, but I see this starting to happen not just in our country, but in countries right across Europe. People who don't get vaccinated, for example, are written of as being dangerous. They might be infected, for example. They are stupid. They're socially irresponsible. They are unsafe, unclean and dangerous. They might breach the air of the virtuously vaccinated, as one writer put it. And all of this arises quite naturally from fear. The fear of another epidemic or another bout of an epidemic. We're being told by people as important as Michael Gove that such people are selfish. Those who refuse vaccines are endangering their health and those around them and the freedom of every citizen. That surprisingly comes from an Israeli minister. And those who refuse vaccines hurt us all, because if all of us were vaccinated, we'd all be able to get back to maintain daily life. Maybe so, or maybe not. But either way, the demonization of a group of people in society has got rather dangerous precedents. And we've lived through pandemics before without demonizing people in this same kind of way. I've been amazed at the way in which this is now working its way out. I say not just in this country, where we're now going to implement COVID passports, which will allow the vaccinated and those who have passed these rigorous tests to enable them to enjoy things like nightclubs and large mass events. At least that's where it starts. That's what we've been told. Macron was the person, I think, who first started this. He had the idea of the COVID passport and a green pass before most other people. His COVID pass is something which will bar people, if you don't have one, from drinking in cafes, eating in restaurants, and forbidden from dancing in nightclubs, forbidden from watching football matches live, forbidden from going to other large events, suspended from your jobs, banished from football teams or rugby teams, and in the words of Jean-Michel Blanquer, the Minister of Education, ousted from the classroom. All of this has rather hollow and dangerous echoes of 1930s Germany, it seems to me, where another group of people were singled out and were dismissed from society. How we can be so close to that and yet have many people still in favour of it, I really don't understand. I was surprised to hear that this is also happening in Italy. As of this Friday, all Italians over the age of 12 will be banned from most enclosed public spaces and also from most and many open air public spaces too, if you don't have such a green pass. If you're equipped with a digital pass that proves you've had at least one COVID vaccine, then you can enjoy public spaces, even in the open air. But if you don't, then your range of life will be severely curtailed. A bare life, as the Italian philosopher put it. That this is also happening in New York as well. On Tuesday, the mayor of New York, a guy called Bill de Blasio, announced that New York will be the first city, American metropolis, to import the French health pass. Marketed as an upscale kind of perk, it says here. It's called the Key to New York City Pass. And the program will begin on the 16th of August and it will become compulsory on the 13th of September. What does the pass do? It allows you access to things. And de Blasio is quite upfront about the way in which it's meant to work. Let me quote you. It is so important to make clear that if you are vaccinated, you get to benefit in all sorts of ways. You get to live a better life. Besides your health in general, you get to participate in many, many things. And if you're unvaccinated, there are going to be fewer and fewer things that you are able to do. Well, if that's not coercion, then I don't know what is. And if that's not othering a whole group of people and telling them that they are second-class citizens and can't take part in life because they haven't got a pass, like other people have, then if we're not going down that same road of 1930s Germany, and you might have thought I was exaggerating earlier on, then I don't know what's close to that, if this is not as close to it as it ever gets. This seems to me exactly the same road. It's not yellow stars that you pin on people, it's COVID passes. It's not about putting people in ghettos yet, but equivalent to staying in your own home, and you can't go out, and you can't enjoy the perks of a free society. All of these freedoms used to be what were called inalienable human rights. And I really don't understand where governments feel that suddenly they've got the power to remove inalienable human rights from people just on their whim, just on their say-so, as if they're purely in their gift. Of course, they claim they're doing it for our benefit. But that is not just something I doubt. That I know for certain is utterly untruthful. This is something which is taking us down a very, very dark road. The end of the line of that road in 1930s Germany was the most unpleasant that we've ever seen, where you start to put people into other categories and you don't allow them freedoms and you sack them from their jobs. In the end, you quarantine them, you put them in camps, you don't allow them to mix with other people, you take them off to camps a long, long, long way away, and you treat them differently. You treat them in any way that you like, because you treat them as being subhuman, because they're different from the rest. The end of that path is the sorriest end that we've ever seen, and the history of the 20th century did not show us any blacker outcome than the same road that we're travelling down now. I never felt so strongly about a matter than I do about this. And I think that if our country goes down this, it's not simply, as Jacob Rees-Mogg says, rather un-British. It's undemocratic, it's authoritarian, it's dictatorial, and there's no other word for it than to say it's fascist.